Scene script. Have you ever wondered where the roots of our modern civilization lie? How about we take a journey back in time to the land of pyramids and pharaohs, ancient Egypt? As the cradle of one of the world's oldest civilizations, ancient Egypt was a hotbed of innovation, a place where human ingenuity bloomed under the desert sun. Our journey begins with the dawn of mathematical concepts, a cornerstone of their society and indeed the world as we know it. In the vast expanses of the Nile Delta, the ancient Egyptians developed a decimal system. This was a significant leap forward that enabled them to handle large numbers with ease, an indispensable tool in their daily life from commerce to architecture. Their understanding of this system was so advanced that they even recognized the concept of zero, a mathematical revelation that wouldn't be fully appreciated in the Western world until centuries later. But the ancient Egyptians didn't stop at decimals. Their fascination with shapes and measurements led to the birth of geometry, and it was not abstract geometry confined within the walls of a classroom. No, it was practical, applied geometry that they used to divide land, design grand structures, and navigate the star-studded night sky. And then there were fractions. The ancient Egyptians understood fractions like no other civilization of their time. They used them in their daily lives, from sharing food to measuring land. This understanding of fractions was so sophisticated that they could solve complex equations, a skill that would eventually pave the way for algebra. The mathematical prowess of the ancient Egyptians was not just about numbers and equations, it was about a mindset, a way of thinking that allowed them to see patterns, make connections, and solve problems. It was this mindset, this deep-seated curiosity and thirst for knowledge that propelled them to innovate and create. From these early mathematical concepts, ancient Egyptians built a foundation that would serve as a springboard for more complex innovations. And so, their legacy continues to influence our world, reminding us that even the most complex ideas often have their roots in the simplest of concepts. Imagine a world without modern irrigation or water management systems. How do you think societies managed? Let's delve into the engineering prowess of the Egyptians. In the heartland of the desert, an oasis of civilization blossomed on the banks of the Nile. The lifeblood of ancient Egypt, the Nile was both a blessing and a challenge. The river's seasonal floods brought fertile silt, but they also wrought destruction. To harness this double-edged sword, the Egyptians turned to engineering, pioneering concepts and techniques that would echo down the centuries. Their most notable feat? The basin irrigation system. Picture this, a network of canals and dikes meticulously crafted, snaking across the landscape. These were not merely ditches dug in the ground, but triumphs of design, taking into account the natural topography, the flow of the Nile, and the needs of the crops. The Egyptians would open the sluice gates when the Nile flooded, allowing the water to fill the basins. Once the floodwaters receded, the fertile silt remained, ready for planting, but the Egyptians didn't stop there. They also developed a shadoof, a simple yet effective water-lifting device. This was essentially a long pole with a bucket on one end and a counterweight on the other. The shadoof made it possible to draw water from the Nile and distribute it across the fields. Even when the river was low, these innovations were not born out of luxury but necessity. The Egyptians had to adapt to their environment, and in doing so they created an agricultural powerhouse that lasted for thousands of years. Their irrigation systems allowed them to grow surplus crops, which could be stored for lean times or traded, laying the foundation for a prosperous civilization. The legacy of their engineering genius is still with us today. Modern irrigation and water management systems owe much to the Egyptians' pioneering work. They showed us how to tame nature, how to turn a challenge into an opportunity. These engineering marvels not only tamed the mighty Nile, but also set a precedent for future civilizations. They were a testament to the ingenuity and resilience of our ancestors, a reminder of what humanity can achieve when faced with adversity. In a world without alphabets or written language, how would you communicate complex ideas or record history? Let's explore how ancient Egyptians tackled this challenge. Imagine a time when words as we know them didn't exist. A time when thoughts, stories, and knowledge were passed down orally, susceptible to the erosion of memory and time. This was the world before the ancient Egyptians introduced us to the power of written words through the invention of hieroglyphic writing. Hieroglyphs, from the Greek words hieros, meaning sacred, and glyphein, meaning to carve, were essentially sacred carvings. This pictorial script was composed of several hundred distinct signs, each representing a word, an idea, or a sound. With this, ancient Egyptians unlocked a new realm of expression and documentation, with the ability to record complex thoughts, tales of their heroic exploits, religious beliefs, and scientific knowledge. This remarkable system was not just for the mundane or the functional, but it was a bridge to the divine. It was the language of the gods, etched on the walls of temples, tombs, and monuments. It was a way for the pharaohs and priests to communicate with the deities, and for the common people to understand the divine and the metaphysical. But the influence of hieroglyphs didn't stop at the borders of Egypt. This ingenious system of writing left indelible footprints on the sands of time, influencing the development of written language across the world. The concept of representing words and sounds with symbols paved the way for the Phoenician alphabet, which later gave birth to the Greek alphabet and subsequently the Roman one, which we use today. In essence, every word you read, every story you write, every text you send is, in a way, an echo of those ancient Egyptian scribes carving their sacred symbols into stone. Their invention allowed for the preservation and transmission of knowledge across centuries, shaping the course of human civilization. The invention of hieroglyphs not only revolutionized communication in ancient Egypt, but it also left a lasting impact on the world of written language. So how have these ancient inventions shaped our world today? Well, the legacy of ancient Egypt is far-reaching, touching many aspects of our contemporary existence. The mathematical prowess of the Egyptians is the cornerstone of many modern disciplines. Their knowledge of geometry, for instance, was instrumental in the construction of the pyramids, and today it's vital in fields ranging from architecture to computer graphics. The engineering marvels of the Nile, especially their advanced irrigation systems, laid the groundwork for modern agricultural practices and water management systems. These innovations continue to feed and sustain billions of people around the globe. And let's not forget the power of written words. The Egyptians' invention of hieroglyphic writing was a monumental leap in human communication, paving the way for the development of various writing systems and ultimately the digital language of our computerized world. Ancient Egypt, a civilization of many firsts, continues to influence our modern world, reminding us that our past shapes our present and future.